Alright. Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we're clearing up a really important distinction of two concepts. One is tax return, the other is information return. This concept's like, come on, it's all got the return. Sounds familiar, right? So it trips people up every tax season. So let me clear this up for you. So what's the difference between the tax return as well as the information return? What's the difference between them? Okay? These two terms sounds familiar, but they play very different role. Okay? And let's get started. So first, tax return. You must know this. If you worry about tax during tax season, most likely you'll worry about tax return. Alright? So basically, this is the file that if you work as an employee, you're going to file your file with the IRS. Most likely, you're going to file the form 1040. Okay? And basically, on tax return is a tax related form, but come on, information return is also tax related. But tax return is more about directly about the tax. Okay, so basically on tax return you're going to like report all your income, right? All your like deductions. You can claim the deductions and credits. And basically at that tax return form you can calculate how much tax you owe or how much of that refund that you should get. So basically it's like direct information about tax. Okay? So tax return is more like when you like talk to IRS, it's like my side of the story, right? So basically it's a completely like financial picture of the previous year, right? So I am going to tell this is my financial picture of my previous year, and here is my tax information and return it to you, IRS. And what about that? Are you satisfied with it? If you are satisfied, we're going to go with this. And don't forget, IRS is really smart, right? And if you are not familiar with the information return, that's normal because most of the time it's not filed by you. It's filed by someone else who paid you. Okay? So, as I said, if you file a tax return, it's more like your side of story when you tell that story to IRS, but IRS, they got their own way of verifying this kind of information. You know what? That information comes, a lot of information actually come from the information return. That's exactly a lot of people omit because it's not filed by you, but IRS got it. Okay? Let me just give you some like really basic example here. So for example, if you are an employee, your employer who paid you often sends the W-2 to IRS. Okay? So basically, at W-2, IRS already know information about you. This is like return to the IRS and they got the information. So on W-2, IRS already know your wages, so you can't lie about that. Okay? Because your employer already tell their side of the story to IRS. And these two stories need to add up. Okay? So yeah. So for example, your bank, your most trustworthy, custodian of your wealth, you know what? Your bank sends 1099 int for interest. You know what? Even though interest may be just a few dollars, you know what? Still they are legally required to file that information to the IRS. Okay? And you know what? If you are indie dev or if you got like small business startup, tech startup especially, if you connect it to PayPal, right? Or to connect to Stripe, you know what? They are classified as the financial related company, so they are legally required to send 1099K if you got paid through them, right? You might say, well, I can just use PayPal or Stripe or Wise or whatever. IRS never find out because the money actually not actually landing on the bank account. You know what? If you got paid through all this PayPal, Stripe, all that, they already filed the information to IRS. You know what? IRS already know that, so you can't hide. All right, so So here's a kicker for you, right? They send a copy to you as well as a copy to the IRS. So most likely you're going to receive a kind of copy of that information as well. Sometimes you may miss it. Sometimes, most of the time, they're just going electronically to give you like a PDF, something like that. Yeah, if you got like an address, that like an email address, they will send a mail to email or mail. That really depends on what kind of information that you provide. And if they're old school, they will send a mail to the address, and you're going to receive a copy. And you know what? They also send a copy to IRS. So the reason for them to doing that is that you already got that kind of information of how much income that you had from all these sources before you file, actually before you tell your side of the story to IRS. So before you even file, IRS already know that, and you already got a copy, so you know what they know, but they know more, okay? You just only know that this kind of information return had already been filed. So that's the reason I constantly stress the business address, the business information, the mailing information, all that, and all this correspondence is very, very important. Some people just miss some of the just miss the piece of like interest, the information and all that, and they got this like a notice and or letters. You just need to be careful about all this like tiny little bit of detail. Okay, so a quick generalization of all this concept. So basically, information return is just like receipts, right? It's like raw data that the third party that paid you, like they submit directly to the IRS. Right? And tax return is like where you put everything together into just one or few files that you file, your wages, your freelance work, your investment, all that, you file that together, and you file that, and you figure out your actual tax liabilities. So, at IRS side of the story, they got more sources of information, but at least they got these two sources, major sources of information, to check your tax return, right? And the tax return as well information return, if they don't match, if these two don't match, most likely you are going to get a notice. Okay? So yeah, you have to be really careful about that. So that's the like concept explanation of these very similar wording concepts. And in the next series of videos, I'm going to break down the most common information returns that you will see, like W2s, the 1099s, and K1s, and all that, and how they flow into your tax return. Okay, so stay tuned.